We're Robin and Steve. In the last episode, we spent most of the time underwater, getting to know the locals of Lady Elliot Island, including this family of squid.
At least I think they're squid, cephalopods. They seem to have made this mooring buoy their home.
Perhaps you'll remember this turtle from the last episode. We were trying to figure out what Steve was doing with his hands here. Now we remember, he was signalling that this turtle had been tagged. Steve used to be a volunteer turtle tagger on Crab Island. And here there were many turtles, tagged or not. And some good crowds of fish. The time came for us to move on. Reluctantly, we climbed out of the water and prepared to go. The wind was going to change, and this is not a great anchorage in some winds. So, with dolphins to escort us, we set sail for Bundaberg. Past huge ships at anchor. And hand steering all the way. When it's working, this nifty machine steers our boat automatically with the touch of a button. But electrical issues and an oil leak rendered it useless. And bleeding it was a tedious job. Luckily, we'd arrived for the Tuesday night excitement. A storm had arrived, and these locals were making the most of the unsafe road conditions. Seems to go on regularly here, so we call this Burnout Tuesday. Between storms, we zip down to the fuel jetty to refill water and fuel. We're not used to pulling up to docks in this big boat, but it was fine, and the scariest thing was the price of diesel. Ah, a rainbow, and Steve with sun in his eyes. We awoke next morning to fog and a spooky-looking neighbour. This is a replica of a Portuguese caravel. We enjoyed some quiet time as the storm passed, alongside our spooky neighbour. In the muddy storm waters, we were lucky enough to see this beautiful sea snake. We've seen a few, but usually I'm not quick enough to get my camera. We see a glimpse of their beautiful dance and then they're gone into the depths. At first light, we set off on the 44 nautical mile journey back to Lady Elliot Island, because once was not enough. And on the way, Steve caught dinners. This fish provided a few meals. Steve's favourite, Spanish mackerel. We appreciated every meal this fish provided. We moored again on the west side of Lady Elliot Island, in time for an evening kayak, and to see yet another tiny plane land on this tiny island, bringing visitors in and out.
And we saw the irony as we enjoyed our fish dinner in this marine reserve. But seriously, the world needs more marine reserves like this.
At first we thought the wing of this manta ray was a shark. Manta rays are definitely up there with my favourite creatures. As we drifted about in our kayak, we came across these cuddling sharks.
Lazy. Oh, it's got his fin on the other one. It's gonna bite me. I think they're breeding.
And another turtle from another angle. And the tiny plane preparing to take off from this tiny runway. Again, we never set a foot on Lady Elliot Island, preferring to spend our time underwater. It's kind of hard to tell, but this cod is huge. By now we knew some of the local hangouts of some of the local fish, at least for this time of year. Again, it's hard to tell, but this is a big coral trout. I had built this place up in my mind since I'd seen how beautiful it was when I was little. Thank goodness it did not disappoint. I hope that this family of cephalopods continues to enjoy life by this mooring buoy until we next visit. The storms had whipped up some algal blooms, which were really pungent. Here's our boat moored on the west side of Lady Elliot Island, a perfect spot from which to see the sunset. And we're not the only ones that think so. Each night, whoever stays at the resort makes their way across to the west side to appreciate the sunset. So we got to appreciate people appreciating the sunset. And it's the perfect time for bird watching. It was time to set sail again. But not for long. Soon we were motoring. But again, we had company. Back in Bundaberg, the machiney bit of our autopilot was finally working again.
We snuck upriver when winds got a bit fierce and anchored here, where sugar gets loaded onto barges. It smells like sugar. And made our way south into Harvey Bay, along the inside of Fraser Island, Gurry.
We were setting a cracking pace this time, but enjoyed watching familiar sights drift by.
Here we lucked out, seeing the longest partial lunar eclipse since 1440 and the longest until 2669. We moved with the tides towards the bottom of Fraser Island. Somewhere along the line, our keel did nudge the sand, which is too easy to do in this area of shifting sands. But we weren't stopped, just humbled. We anchored on the southern part of Fraser Island and rested up in preparation to cross the Wide Bay Bar. We went for a nice beach walk and saw this strange brown dolphin and other wildlife. This is an island of contrasts. You try and get away from it all and end up in four-wheel drive traffic. Even in the most mellow conditions, attempting to cross Wide Bay Bar without the right waypoints could be hairy. We left Wide Bay Bar and Double Island Point behind us and headed south towards Mooloolaba, accompanied again by dolphins. Join us next time as we rest amongst the mansions of Mooloolaba before being uncharacteristically social at Bribie Island. Then explore the otherworldly dune landscape of Moreton Island before eventually being weirded out again by the Gold Coast. But for now, no skyscrapers, just dolphins.